webinar is hosted by Sleek. We help people to incorporate in both Singapore and Hong Kong and help them, manage the, company compliance and then the accounting using, of course, the amazing, Xero and then A2X software as well. And yeah, just helping our clients, so that they can focus on their business growth, and then we take off the hard work using those amazing tools. So this webinar is about e-commerce and how to, simplify and, streamline your business. And we have our speakers. So Derek from Xero, Ellen from A2X, and then our very own, client, Charles, who, we help to, set up and maintain the accounting. And he's, running Culture, which is a e-commerce that sells, home decor and furnitures. So welcome everyone. Mm-hmm. So before we get into the meat of, diving in and helping the questions and tips, please do introduce yourself and tell us, who you guys are, where you're from, and your background. So can we start with Derek?
Hey everyone. So I'm Derek. I'm a senior account manager at Xero in Singapore. I'm based in Singapore. So I have more than 6 years of experience within the accountancy sector, working across different roles and different organizations. But I've been with Xero for more than 2 years now. So in my role at Xero, I deal mostly with accounting practices. And basically my role is to provide advice and share good practices on how to transition from desktop-based systems to the cloud. And what about Xero? So Xero is a cloud accounting software and also a business platform. We are born in New Zealand more than 13 years ago, and we are currently listed on the Australian Stock Exchange. So I reckon that we are the most popular accounting software in Australia, New Zealand, and probably the UK as well. For Asia, South Africa, the US, and Canada, these are actually up and coming markets for us, especially so in Asia, where we are headquartered in Singapore, and we have an office with local reps in Hong Kong as well.
Nice, thank you. Ellen, do you want to go next?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on here today, and I'm very excited to talk to you all about e-commerce. So I'm Ellen, I'm based in New Zealand, and I've been working at A2X for the past 2 years. My background before that is in marketing and accounting. So doing marketing for an accounting software company was a great fit. So over the past 2 years, I've been working with hundreds and hundreds of e-commerce accountants and their e-commerce clients. And yeah, helping them automate best practice e-commerce accounting. So A2X is software that automates accounting for Amazon sellers, Shopify sellers, and now Walmart as well, the Walmart marketplace. And it automates best practice accounting, and you'll know that everything has been accounted for because everything's going to reconcile with A2X, and you're going to have numbers that you can trust. And we'll get into that a bit later about why that's so important running an e-commerce business, why you need to know all of your expenses, all your fees and your sales and all of that. So yes, I'm looking forward to it. So thank you.
Fantastic. And I also know that you have some, burning misconceptions to bust regarding, e-commerce accounting. And then finally, we have Charles from Culture. Nice to have you here. Please tell us about yourself and tell us, a little bit on, what your experience is like for Xero and also A2X, because I know you've used them both.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. So thanks for having me, Sleek. My name is Charles de Crémier, and I'm the founder of Hacienda and Culture Home Decor in Singapore, so with my wife, Theresia. So Culture Home Decor is an online boutique providing exotic home decor, mainly made in Indonesia. So we are a retail business here online in Singapore. And we founded the company 2 years ago, just my wife and I. So it's a very small, lean family business type of structure. And we started working with Xero, I think from the first year actually, so 2018, as our business started to slowly grow. We integrated A2X, and we also with Sleek. So Sleek integrated A2X for us into Shopify, because we work with Shopify platform to run the business. So we integrated A2X earlier this year. I think we were one of the first e-commerce handled by Slick to implement A2X app into Shopify, as we were looking to simplify the accounting part of the business to focus better on sales and marketing.
Fantastic. Well, now that you know all the speakers, then let's get into it. And so I want to take this time. If you have any questions whilst you're listening to us, do share your questions in the Q&A session, and then we'll be happy to take those at the end. When it comes to e-commerce, a lot of our understanding on the traditional business doesn't really, or applies a little bit differently to e-commerce. Derek, since accounting softwares is for both online business, e-commerce, and then also traditional business, how does the needs and the processes compare to one another?
Well, thanks for the question, Tom. If I were to look at things from the accounting and finance perspective, I would say that there isn't that too much difference between an e-commerce business as well as other business. Basically, this is probably something that may already sound familiar to you, but I would reiterate this point again. But when it comes to running a business, whether it's online business, whether it's traditional business, cash flow is king. So how you manage your cash flow can actually be the difference between doing well, surviving, or putting up. So for example, you may be doing very well in your sales, bringing in a lot of revenue, but if you do not keep an eye on your operating expenses as well as the cost of acquiring your clients, then very, very, very quickly, you will find that your business is running out of cash. So here is where having a system to record all your transactions, for example, like your sales, your expenses, your bank account, will give you a very clear picture of your financial position. So at the end of the month, you do not end up with a shock when it is time for you to pay your bills and your stuff. So it is really key for you to keep notes on your numbers, on your finances, and just make full use of all the technological tools available out there to keep tabs on your finances. So this is what I say to most e-commerce businesses when it comes to setting up their processes, especially when it comes to the accounting and finance part of their business.
Thank you. Ellen, do you have any inputs here?
Yeah, for sure. I would add that e-commerce businesses quite often have a high transaction volume, and there's so many moving parts to an e-commerce business, and quite often the focus is on finding the right products and supplier and choosing what platform to sell on, and the marketing that which I call the front end, and quite often that kind of back end of everything is an afterthought, and that is the accounting, the inventory management, all of those kinds of things. And with an e-commerce business, like I just said, can have very high transaction volumes, because one order, there could be sales tax, the fees for the platform that you're selling on, shipping, and these are all just with one order. So one order could have 10 transactions attached, and that volume can get really high, and it can be really hard to reconcile all of your transactions in Xero. And that is one thing I think that people can also kind of shock them once they kind of get set up. They're just trying to make sense of all of this information.
Yeah, because usually when we think of, I sell a product, okay, I give you this product, I get the money, and that's the end of it, right? But of course, e-commerce, you're dealing with a lot more volume and a little bit more complexity as well. Charles, how about you? Have you any experience in traditional business, and before your e-commerce?
It's the first business that I started, actually, but my background is essentially export sales. My professional career was done in export sales, including luxury perfumes. So I didn't really have any first-hand experience as an entrepreneur. We just had an idea, and then we started to make it happen, bit by bit, very slowly. I did have an understanding about cost of goods, accounting, cash flow, but I did not experience it hands-on. So, I just want to highlight that cash flow is key in a business as well, like Derek said. So you can sell a lot, but if you don't control your cost of goods or your inventory or your cost of operations, you can quickly go negative and stop the business. So my business is run, it's self-sustainable. I never really borrowed any money to keep it going. And the great thing with Xero is that it allows you to have an instant picture of your financial health at any point in time. So, you can check your app or you can go online. You can check your P&L, you can check your bank statement or cash flow, whatever. So I think this is really important for people who want to start in e-commerce, because not everybody has an accounting background, not everybody has a strong business acumen. So it simplifies, plus with A2X that export the transactions automatically, the sales and the cost of goods. It really simplifies the approach to accounting and allows people who don't necessarily have the education to simply know how is their company doing at any point in time and to take corrective actions if needed.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, that's one of the reasons why, Sleek also, helps our clients with using Xero and A2X. They may not have a, accounting background, and then we can just, take care of that for them. So, of course, tools, we have A2X and Xero. Charles, what other tools have you found, that you have used, day to day to run your e-commerce business? What has been helpful to you?
Well, you were talking about, cash flow, and I think now there is a big trend on dropshipping, right? A lot of people want to start dropshipping. I mean, this is not what we intended to do when we started Culture. We are building a brand. So, we have inventory in Singapore, we deliver very quick. But when you go on Shopify, there are a lot of apps that you can add to your Shopify, right? And one of them that we find useful is pre-order. So it allows people to pre-order an item that you don't have in stock. So, they pay full, and then, you make the product and then you ship it to them in 1, 2, or 3 months. So you can have like a kind of a hybrid business model between online retail and dropship, and tap on your consumer base to keep it running this way. So this app is quite nice. And then there are numbers of payment apps that are available in Singapore, like Atomy or Ula, which are great to offer other solutions to consumers, like to pay in 3 or 4 different bank transfer without any fees, installment without any fees. I think it's also coming up real fast in Singapore for consumers.
Yeah, a lot of times when people they sell or buy stuff online, they don't really think about splitting that payments into a few transactions. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. I've never actually thought about that. So I guess now, Ellen and Derek, this is your time to shine. How does A2X and Xero help streamline the e-commerce business owners the accounting needs, right? Yeah, Ellen, please go for it.
I would actually like to really highlight the importance of choosing, I don't know if you are all e-commerce sellers or if you're thinking about getting online, but to really look at the different platforms and the fees that you can be charged for selling on those platforms. Because again, this can come as a shock when you kind of make you've set your prices at a certain price, and then after all those fees come out, you might find that actually you've not set them high enough, or you've set them far too high. So, and it kind of varies between platforms. And so a platform like Amazon, it's amazing. You've got so many marketplaces. You can sell globally. But Amazon also have 400 different types of transactions that they track. And they also pay their sellers in a lump sum after they've taken out all the fees. So what happens is, say you've been selling for 2 weeks, Amazon will deposit some money into your bank account, and that could be made up of about 400 different kind of fees or income. It could include loans, and it's really hard to make sense of. And so what A2X does is it does it all for you. So it's going to sort through all of your different sales and fees and put them into the right accounts into Xero. And so all there is left for you to do is reconcile in Xero. And now the importance of reconciling is, if it doesn't reconcile, then then your numbers aren't right. And if your numbers aren't right, then you can't make decisions for your business. that are ultimately going to take you into the next level. And so A2X, I would say, is a no-brainer as a tool for e-commerce sellers, especially even when you're starting out, to put those processes in place that's going to scale as you do. So when you're small and you might only be doing a few orders, then you might be able to manually do it yourself. But yeah, definitely when you start to, your orders start to increase, actually making sense of it. And it just can take hours and hours, and it's really hard to do. I personally don't know how anyone does it or has the time in their day to do it, especially when you're focusing on all of these other really important aspects of your e-commerce business. So A2X, it's the same premise for Shopify and for Walmart. It's going to take that all of the settlement data from the period that you've been selling, and it's going to break it all down, put it into the right place, and send it through to Xero. So yeah, that's A2X in a bit of a nutshell. And you can obviously go to our website and learn more about it. But yeah, it will definitely make everyone's life easier.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, that's one of the reasons why, at Sleek, whenever I speak to clients who they want to get a e-commerce business started, of course, if you're just doing accounting, by ourselves, it will drive up the, accounting costs on our end so much, right? Because we'll have to manually look at, each item where the sales and then the fees and so on, when, you could simply use A2X and then lower the cost on our side too.
Yeah, for sure. And I do think that sometimes, people are kind of scared to spend that money. Like, oh no, I don't want to spend money on a Xero subscription, or I don't want to spend money on an A2X subscription. And, you're going to pay for it either way. You're going to pay for it at a later date when you find yourself in a bit of trouble, or if you've all of a sudden you don't have that cash flow that you thought you did. So it's an investment. I always say, I don't know if it's kind of like this in Hong Kong and Singapore, but I always say that accounting is like the dentist. No one wants to go. And when you finally do, you've got 10 fillings that you need to get, and it's really expensive. And, accounting's kind of the same. No one really likes to do it. It's not an exciting topic unless you're an accountant. But it's so necessary to really take your business to that next level.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say even if everything goes smoothly, the number one thing is time cost, right? How much time do you want to devote into actually just looking at, very boring numbers rather than just growing your company, putting more ads or like understanding your market better. And this is true for accounting, it's true for maintaining your company. That's why, services like us and, Xero, A2X, they help you to really, make it efficient so you can focus on the things that you excel the best, which is, growing your business. Derek, over to you.
Yep, so perfect. I think Alan and Tom shared quite a few points that I wanted to cover as well. So in fact, I wanted to touch a little bit more on the integration. So Alan mentioned something about pushing the data across from A2X to Xero. So this is what we mean by apps being integrated to one another. So it essentially takes away the hassle of having to download all the data from one system and then upload it into another system. So that integration, the API linkage allows data to flow through from A2X across to Xero. So this actually saves you a lot of hassle. And this is one of the ways where when it comes to using softwares, you should look out for what are some of the potential integrations with any other applications that you may be using. So one good example here is how a backend system like Xero integrates with front-end systems like A2X and Shopify. And really, you can really start to see the whole flow of information from the front end to the back end. And when it comes to considering an accounting software, an easy to use accounting software should definitely be high on your priority list. I mean, you are all probably not accounting trained. All of your business owners, your priority and your focus should be on your business. So when it comes to doing the accounting work, when it comes to finance, it should be you should be using a software that is easy for you to use, easy for you to learn, and preferably a cloud accounting software. And why should you always or only consider cloud accounting software? Because when you're on the cloud, it really means that you can have access to your financials from any devices. It can be your mobile, can be your tablet, laptop, your desktop. You can access those financials, those data at any time as well. Because when it comes to cloud accounting software, you have access to your data at any time and from anywhere. That is also very important. So let's say you are at your client's place, you're at different outlets. So you are working from home. you can just access your data from anywhere. Basically, as long as you have an internet connection, you can have access to your data and to your financials. And I think these days, most places would have an internet connection. And I think when you consider an accounting software, you should also look out for features that can help you to streamline your financial processes. For example, let the software fetch bank statements from the bank for you. So you don't have to download your bank statements yourself. Because within Xero itself, there is this technology called bank feeds. So essentially it means that your bank transactions are pushed across from your bank across to Xero on a daily basis. And all you need to do is to log into Xero like every morning, just to find out how much money you have in the bank. So that's a very, very useful technology there. So there are things like expenses application. So having or using the application to also capture your staff as well as your own personal expenses on the go, and then after that submit it for claims and reimbursements. I think this kind of functions that are built within the accounting software would also help to facilitate some of your financial processes, make things easier for you to claim, make reimbursements a lot easier for you. And also lastly, I guess you should also look out for features like the ability to capture your supplier bills using a scanning application. So Xero actually recently acquired a company known as Hubdoc. So Hubdoc is a scanning application. So what it does is that it helps you to scan, or rather you can scan your paper invoices, and then you upload it into this application called Hubdoc. What it does is that it picks up information like your vendor name, the amount, the tax rate. And then it pushes that information across into Xero. So essentially, it really reduces the amount of time you need to manually key in or input data into the software. So the great thing about Xero is that all these things can be done from within the same application. So there's no need for you to fumble across like different applications, figure out what are some of the other apps you need to add to your pool of applications that you are going to use. So look for an application like Xero that serves all purposes or multiple purposes within the same application. Now, of course, beyond Xero itself, you may also want to consider outsourcing your accounting and compliance work to an accountant or bookkeeper, for example, like Slick, and then let the professionals handle all these matters while you focus on your business. And the great thing about cloud accounting software is that you can actually work collaboratively with your accountant, and you can expect a lot more regular updates on your cash flow and your financial positions from your accountants. So I believe Tom and Slick will be very experienced in terms of how they service their clients, how they provide that kind of updated information to their clients on a regular basis. So maybe Tom, you might want to touch on that a little bit more as well.
Yeah, of course. So, we work exclusively with the Xero accounting software. And one of the things that you touched on is, having it being accessed completely remotely. That means, people like us, Sleek, your accountants can jump in and help you, link up with A2X and then help you reconcile your expenses and all the other stuff. If you need us to update your dashboard and, custom create another view, we can do that too, right? So super convenient, and I really recommend working with specialists like us to help you grow your company. And the most important thing is that we are very knowledgeable in this space, as we've helped hundreds of e-commerce business to do the same, right? So whatever challenges that they've had, we've seen it, we've dealt with it, and you may have those challenges out as well, so that we can solve it together. So like you mentioned, really important to streamline your business, and streamlining, what we mean by is to really just save your time cost and your convenience to make sure that you can focus on things that matter. Ellen or Charles, do you have anything to talk about? When how what other things that can go into streamlining your business?
Yeah, no, I was going to illustrate what Ellen was talking about earlier, when she was saying that how A2X really helps to simplify and to export all the transactions to Xero. Because when I started, I was doing it manually. So I remember Julien from Sleek at the time was helping me to set up Xero on my e-commerce. So he was teaching me to reconcile my transaction, right? That I exported from Stripe. And then from Shopify, my bank statement. So, you had to put an Excel file and all the transactions there and put a lot of formulas, and it could take really hours. And I remember really pulling my hair on doing this once a month. And at that time, I only had maybe 10, 15 transactions per month, but it was always the moment that I was dreading, like to do this specific reconciliation. So in that sense, this A2X integration was like a life-saving event for me, especially when my business started to pick up. So yeah, super helpful. No regret.
That's so great, thank you. And that's exactly, I love hearing those stories when we hear, e-commerce businesses, because that's the thing, right? Before A2X, they are trying to do it themselves. And I would say that it's one of the biggest challenges that e-commerce businesses do face is kind of trying to get,
It's extremely complex, but it just takes a lot of time, because you have to pull data from different platforms and your banks. So it just eats up your time, it's like,
yeah, for sure. And we don't want to overwhelm anyone that's thinking about starting up an e-commerce business, because that's the beautiful thing about Shopify. They have a whole app store, and Xero has a whole ecosystem of apps that actually have been built to help you. They're all solving challenges. All these businesses have been in the same boat as you have, and they've found tools that can simplify it and just help them get on with business and help them grow their business. And so I think, when it obviously, of course, A2X for financial accounting and for numbers that you can count on, and for Xero, because Xero has a beautiful multi-currency feature, which is so important to consider when you are selling overseas, because you could be selling in lots of different regions, and that's with obviously different currencies and different tax rates. And you can use tax apps that can help you decide how much you need to pay in what region. You can use inventory apps to help you manage all your stock and your wholesale if you're doing wholesale. So there's so many different options out there for you to streamline your business. And so I think, if you Google Amazon accounting or Shopify accounting, A2X will come up. If you Google actually any of the challenges you're facing, so many other businesses have been there, and I'm pretty sure there will be an app there to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of challenges, Ellen, I know, of course, I'll get to Charles as well. And I'm sure, during these times, there has been a lot of, people sharing the challenges with you. Ellen, can you share with us some challenges that you've seen that, e-commerce clients are facing right now and how they have dealt with them?
So I would say due to COVID, are you referring to, or just in general?
Yeah, even if they are just starting in a new business, or if or some COVID related challenges as well. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, for sure. So I think I'll start with COVID. I think, some people had disruptions with their suppliers, and, they might not be able to sell to a certain platform for a while. Amazon actually pulled PIN on it. Only essential services were being shipped at one stage. And I think it really just shows how you don't always want to put all your eggs in one basket. I don't know if you have that saying. And really kind of look at different ways that you can diversify your supply chain and the different platforms that you are selling on. And I think, so people that have had brick and mortar stores, and then overnight they had to get online, and that's when it can be quite overwhelming, because when they were once in that one physical space, they're now having to get online and kind of navigate all these different, there are challenges, all these challenges that e-commerce businesses face. And I was actually just talking to a friend recently, and she just felt really overwhelmed. She's spent a lot of time in developing her product, and she was getting it online, and just kind of couldn't believe, the amount of transactions that came through, and all the different hidden fees that she hadn't accounted for in her original price. And so, that's obviously something I would really recommend, is kind of making sure you've got, your profit margins, and you making sure you're profitable from day dot.
Yeah, making sure all your margins are, where you want to be, where you're comfortable at.
For sure, yeah. And that's the thing, we all want sustainable businesses. We want them to last. And as you start a business, you want it to grow and grow and grow. And you want to make sure you're operating in a healthy profit margin. So, you know, if there is a rainy day or if something happens, that you do have a little bit of room to, you know, may not make as many sales one month, but yeah, you've got a bit of room there.
Awesome. Charles, any war stories you'd like to share with us about your business?
Yeah, like I said earlier, we're still a young e-commerce business, but we're still learning a lot. I think for any business, whether it's e-commerce or traditional, you need to have a proper business plan, or at least a basic business plan ready when you start. At least 2-3 years business plan, kind of, you know, to define where you're heading in terms of sales, bottom line, cost, etc. But if you talk about specifically about e-commerce, and if you don't have a physical shop like us, I think it's really important to understand and to decide how you're going to bring traffic to your store. Because for us, we only do SEO, you know, we don't do advertising. So you really have to build your website, you know, if you want to go organically, you have to make sure that your content is relevant for Google to bring in traffic. And if you're going to go for advertising to bring traffic, then you should have proper budgeting in mind and know how much you're going to spend to bring how many customers and think about conversion rates. So have a good product, have a proper website, which Shopify is great for, also for newbies to e-commerce, because also when we started, we had zero experience in e-commerce. And Shopify really helps to build something that is you know, suitable for this kind of business, even though you don't have strong skills. So a lot of research, I think, is involved about you know, SEO, e-commerce. You have to read a lot and find the right product fit. It's important here.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you do your SEO yourself, or does Shopify help you a little bit on that?
No, we did all the SEO ourselves, all the pictures, product descriptions. You know, I just read a lot about SEO when I built my website, and I think it's important to do it from the very beginning, because as you build your website and you add new products, new pages, you know, it's kind of automatically done if you have the right apps as well on Shopify. So after some time, yeah, you can add some apps, I think, to help you with the SEO, especially for photos and stuff. But content creation always comes down to you or to a blogger.
Yeah, I mean, you know, business, you know, cash flow is king, but marketing, you know, content is really the key player here. Now, Ellen, you touched on, you know, selling in multiple markets, multi-currency support. And I understand that, you know, on Xero, of course, there's a pretty strong feature, you know, being able to do accounting in more than one currency and then just make it super effortless. Derek, do you want to, you know, go a little bit into this for us?
When it comes to the multi-currency functionality, so within Xero itself, you have the ability to add any currencies that you want. So, and the best thing about our multi-currency functionality is that it does, I think for the accountants in the room, it does the auto revaluation for you at any point in time where you want to run your revaluation report, where you want to look at your realized gains and unrealized gains and losses. And then we do that auto revaluation based on the midday rate that's extracted from xe.com. So Xero is also integrated with xe.com. So xe.com is a website that contains all the exchange rates across all the various currencies. So we actually integrated to that. So we actually pull out currency exchange rates from that website. So when it comes to multi-currency functionalities, there's no limit to the number of currencies you can add to the system. And we have the integration with xe.com, which makes conversions very, very convenient for you, especially when you need to run your reports. You probably want to see your reports. Even though you have transactions in different currencies, you probably want to see your report in your reporting currency. So those are very useful tools in terms of getting on top of all those transactions that occur overseas and in different currencies.
Yeah, so just making it super easy to understand rather than keeping track of, you know, how each, of course you want to know how each market is doing, but it's a lot easier to benchmark against each one if they're in the same, you know, currency, right? Yeah, super convenient. So before we get to the Q&A, I know I can see some, you know, questions coming in. Again, you know, people who are listening and, you know, listening to this webinar, do send us your questions that you have. We'll be happy to go through them. Anything you guys want to talk about before we tackle some questions?
No, I think
No?
just, yeah, don't be overwhelmed about starting an e-commerce or getting out there. There's so many opportunities, and yes, there are a few challenges, but yeah, there are so many helpful apps like A2X and Xero that will make their life so much easier.
Yeah, and one of the so I speak to a lot of e-commerce, and the first experience is, Ellen, you've touched on this before as well. And if I'm selling on Amazon, and they do batch payments, that means accounting is super easy, right? Super simple. You just need to look at that one thing. But if you dive a little bit deeper, then there's a lot of different cost fees that you have to take into account to make sure what you're selling and what you're getting is and how you're setting your prices, that's accurate, right? Are there any misconceptions that from you, Ellen, and then Charles, that you didn't know before going in?
For sure. Do you know, I think the most common mistake that I see, and it's common for a reason, just because can be quite difficult, is sellers think that the money being paid to them are their income numbers. And so say Amazon pays them or Shopify pays them, they take that figure and they think, oh, this is all my money. Now, unfortunately, it's not. Quite often it has sales tax lumped in there. So sales tax is being collected by Shopify or by Amazon, and they're paying it to the seller. But the seller actually needs to put that money aside so they can pay the tax man at tax time. They don't want to be getting caught up in a position where they're spending that money because they think it's theirs. And then also all of the fees for selling on that platform have already been taken out. So quite often the sales figures are actually a lot higher than what they're reporting. So people, without realizing that, quite often understating their income, which again skews all of their profit margins. And so I would say that is, I know it's boring and it's accounting, but I would say that is one of the most common mistakes I see, is people think that the money hitting their bank account is their income, and it's not. So yeah.
Yeah, Charles, anything that, before you dipped your toes into your business, a few years ago into e-commerce, anything that caught you by surprise, that, you'd love to, share with our attendees here to make sure that they don't, step in the same traps?
Nothing really crazy, but I kind of had this naive thought that, when you made a website, you will get traffic, that people will find your website and, magically your website and maybe purchase. So I think the most difficult part when you start an e-commerce is to actually start. People don't dare to launch their websites because it's not ready or they're missing some products. But my first advice, as Julien from Sleek said as well when I just started, is just launch it. Nobody's going to find it anyway. I was like, okay. Actually, when I launched, of course, we had almost zero traffic because our SEO game was not there, and our social media followers were very small, and we didn't do ads. So yeah, usually when you launch, it will take a few months for your website to be referred by Google and rank properly, especially if you have very little content. So this is, I think, the biggest misconception that I had is that traffic doesn't come magically to you. You need to build your SEO or do some ads that are properly calibrated and targeted to get some people to come to your website. And once they are there, you need to have the right environment and the right apps in place to make them purchase, convert. So yeah, this is the biggest misconception.
Yeah, absolutely. Get started, bootstrap if you have to on the websites, and and start growing your traffic, right? And if you don't push out, no one's going to come, right? Yeah. So let's jump into some questions that we have coming in. Again, we're still taking questions. So if you guys have any, questions about, Charles, A2X, about Xero, do, add it in. So yeah, actually, before we jump into the questions, if you had to give one tips to e-commerce sellers, what would it be? Just one golden advice. Yeah. Derek?
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go for it.
Sorry, I would just say invest in the right software from the beginning. It is, and that's not even just for A2X. It's for Xero, for your tax apps, your inventory. get those processes in place from the get-go. And so as you grow, as that traffic starts coming to your site and those orders come in, you don't find yourself in a mess. You can trust that everything is accounted for. You know that what your stock levels are, and yeah, I think it is an investment, but it's so worth it. And I think quite often an afterthought, and people are scared to spend that money. They're like, oh, it's an extra expense I can't afford right now. I think you want to make sure that's in your business plan. So you invest from the start.
Yeah, working with great, business partners and, business service who can navigate the waters that you're not familiar with is, one of the reasons why, we all exist as well. Derek, anything, if you have to give one advice to people who are starting, the e-commerce business, what would it be?
I would say try to reduce the amount of manual work as much as you can, and make use of technology to do that. Need not necessarily be Xero, need not necessarily be A2X, but of course, if you can adopt this kind of technologies, it'll be the best. But look out for ways to reduce all this manual work through the use of technology. Just like what Ellen mentioned, initially you might think that all these applications are going to cost you a few dollars or tens of dollars, hundreds of dollars per month. But if you look at it from a long-term perspective, all this use of technology, the amount of time savings is going to save you. The amount of mess is gonna save you from piling up in future. It's going to be very worth it in the future. And lastly, if let's say you feel that this is not your area of expertise, especially when it comes to the boring stuff of accounting and finance, just outsource if it's necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So completely agree. So when you're running your business, you gotta make sure that your time is being used correctly. And Charles, I know you're probably going to say SEO and doing content, but anything else you want to add?
No, I think Derek and Ellen gave very good advice about backend and accounting outsourcing, and I think it makes a lot of sense because as an e-commerce entrepreneur, you want to spend most of your time on marketing, sales, and customers, because these are the three pillars that will drive the business, and you have very little time for doing accounting or reconciling and things like that. But from a personal marketing point of view, if I have to give one single advice, is really find the right product fit, choose the right product or service for the market, and use the right channels to market it. So either you want to be maybe very niche, which is what we do at Cultural Home Decor. We don't sell the usual furniture or home decor. We have very specific, unique products. Or if you're gonna go like very commercial and do this swimming suits that are cheap and made in China, never mind, but channel them in the right platforms, maybe like Amazon or Lazada. I think this is really my first advice is product fit.
Yeah, absolutely. So match your products to the market that you're aiming, and then make sure the content is in line with that, right? So you're attracting the right people, looking at the right product, and hopefully closing some more sales. Okay, so question. We have one here that's pretty interesting. So besides Sleek, A2X, and Xero, unfortunately, are there any essential tools that my e-commerce needs? So I guess I'll go first, since I think this one is close to my heart as well. I deal directly with customers, and for e-commerce as well, it's very important to get first-hand experience, or even to the front line where you're understanding who your customers are and dealing with them directly. It could be the shopping experience, it could be what they think about the products. So a good CRM is pretty good. Yeah, it's almost essential, right, to communicate and manage your clients. So for me at Sleek, we use HubSpot. Of course, if you do, in the end choose us, we also have a discount there as well for you. So it's a really good CRM where you can create tickets and then live chatbot and implement that onto your website directly. So if someone's visiting, if they have questions about shipping, about your product specifically, you can just be there, and you can engage directly with them pretty effortlessly. And after that, you can capture the information or link that to your marketing, to your invoicing system as well. Fantastic. Yeah. Ellen? I can see you may have some, yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, besides Sleek, A2X and Xero, you've obviously got I always think, you've got your front end, what the glamorous things to focus on, and your back end. And I think there are, essentials in there, your inventory, I said that, and tax. And then, yeah, exactly, for your front end, you've got your website, your customer support. That is why actually Shopify is so great, because it's so easy to build your website and start selling online. So I would say, yeah, those are I think they're all essential.
Okay. Derek or Charles?
Derek, go ahead.
Well, I would say that have a look at applications that I don't have any particular applications in mind, but I would say that have a look at applications that integrate with one another. So that is really important, because it really streamlines your processes and allows data to flow from one app to another. So whatever your business would require, I think Alan mentioned a few other applications like inventory, or even if, let's say, your business starts to grow and you want to manage your payroll in a more professional manner, there are also payroll applications that are integrated with Xero. So do bear in mind that when you are looking for other applications, do try and look for those that are integrated to each other, and that will really save you a lot of time.
Yeah, a lot of times you have different apps that don't talk together, and in the end you have to do some manual work to transfer the information.
Yep.
So yeah, completely agree. Get for a specific service, there's going to be multiple providers. Look for the one that connects to your existing tools, and you have an easier time managing everything. Yeah, Charles.
Yeah, so just to touch on the logistic part, because in my opinion, logistics is the backbone of e-commerce, and if you don't get it right from the start, you can quickly eat up all your profits or even make you bankrupt. So I think that there is one app that personally I use is EasyShip. I think they're doing a great job at integration, as Derek was talking about, and helping you to manage your logistic costs when you ship products, whether locally or abroad. So this is one app that I found very useful from the beginning for me, and that helps me to reduce my logistic costs. And then if you can integrate it with your warehouse, which I do as well in Singapore, even better, because they integrate EasyShip in Shopify in the system, and they manage themselves the shipping of the products in the lowest cost possible.
Nice. Fantastic. So Charles, I think this one's for you. When people are starting to I think you're going to read the questions as it is. As e-commerce is gaining attention in multiple industries, especially in fashion, do you have any tips and tricks or something to know on using a platform like Shopify, especially for companies that are shifting from traditional brick and mortar to e-commerce?
Right. Well, I think again Shopify is great because it's rather simple to use for anyone, whether you have a very large business or a very small business. They have different plans available, including with Shopify payments, different fees, etc. But overall, I think if you're going to switch from offline to online, or keep both, probably omni-channel, you want to choose the right theme, because Shopify offers many themes depending on your industry. For instance, for us, we changed themes, I think 3 times since we started. So the latest one was launched about 4 months ago, right when the circuit breaker started, more or less. So it also helped us to gain momentum. Themes are great because it really gives a different designs to your website, and depending on the products that you sell, it's giving different focus on your product. It will help consumers to find your products in a different way. You can focus on photographies or storytelling or blogging. So every theme has its specific characteristics which might fit your industry.
Yeah, thank you. Ellen or Derek, you guys have anything to touch on? Or like, I guess to elaborate a little bit for Ellen, because you use, you help your clients work with Amazon and Shopify and even Walmart, how would they choose which platform is right for them?
So yeah, that's you know, one's obviously a store and one's a marketplace, and one you have more control over, you know, your advertising, your marketing, your customer service. So it really depends, and you know, what your business plan is. Amazon's great because you can they do shipping for you, and they can have your inventory all across the countries or different countries, but then again, those are things that you need to pay for, and so that needs to all be taken into account. So you know, I would say to start with kind of, you know, say on a Shopify or start on Amazon, and then maybe you'll find that you're ready to kind of branch out. I'm sure there has been successful businesses that launch on multiple marketplaces at once. But yeah, I think it's really important just to look at all those hidden fees that could show up when choosing which platform.
Yeah, nice. And to find your niche as well, to see which one works well. Okay, next question. In a marketing aspect, the direction to the market products and services to consumers differs for both traditional and digital. What key pointers would you advise to business that can set them apart from traditional marketing and be unique? Charles, I think you have experience in this.
You mean in terms of marketing technique?
Yeah.
Differentiate traditional and e-commerce, right?
Yeah, correct. Do you have to highlight more on, you know, the delivery or where they're available, or even the language itself? Yeah.
I mean, obviously, the key difference between traditional and digital is that in digital, people cannot see and touch your products, right? So you have to convince them that you are trustworthy as an organization and that your products are qualitative. Because when you sell high-ticket products, in our case, our average transaction is $300, which is considered quite high, I think, for e-commerce, especially when you're not a big brand. So the most important here, I think, is to gain, to build a consumer trust, social proof. Again, there are applications that can do that. You know, people can leave reviews on the website. You build your Instagram community as well, which is also a sign of trust because there are many people following you. We also work with influencers, you know, so they kind of like, we kind of sponsor them and we gain their support as well. So people trust the brand after some time. So I think this is one of the key differences, that when you don't have a physical store, people have to be convinced that you are okay brand, and you know, they can buy from you without meeting you or without seeing your products. This is the most important aspect, I think. So your marketing strategy should have a strong component in that sense.
Yeah, I think you know, reviews are definitely important, and it's something that, you know, you should integrate within your after your sales, especially if they're happy with the product. Urge them or nudge them to leave a good review. You know, I've certainly been doing it because a lot of times, you know, our clients, yes, some of them are in Hong Kong, but some of them are also overseas as well. And where, you know, sometimes if you're going through and entrusting your incorporation to a company, you want to meet them, right? So it's very important to build that trust and to, you know, have a voice or have a place where your customers can, you know, sort of be your promoters, in the sense that, you know, hey, this guy, they're doing great, they're responsive, and you know, go for it, right? And especially, I can't imagine, you know, the trust that you have to build, Charles, because, you know, for furniture's for example, people like to go to IKEA, they like to go to, you know, physical stores to just like bounce on the sofas. That's, you know, almost impossible to do right now, I guess, online. Yeah, so I guess we're almost out of time here. So I'm going to give the floor to Derek, and then Ellen, and then Charles for your plugs, where they can find you, what you want them to get in touch with you guys for, anything. Floor's yours, Derek.
All right, thank you. So very quickly, so if let's say you want to try out Xero on your own, we offer a 30 days free trial. So just simply head to www.xero.com and then just sign up for a free trial, and then you can play around with the software. Likewise, you can also contact our partner Slick, and then they will be happy to set up a trial account for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're planning to incorporate or start your e-commerce business, do talk to me. You can find me at sleek.com, so SLEEK.com. and then I'll be able to help you either set up in Hong Kong or in Singapore, and also use the wonderful Xero and A2X tools. Ellen.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, and I hope everyone's found this super informative. Yeah, so A2X is going to automate your Amazon, Shopify, and Walmart accounting. It's going to do all the heavy lifting for you. You can head to a2xaccounting.com and you can learn all about A2X and the platforms. And yeah, of course, talk to our awesome partners here, Sleek. They are A2X experts and they can help you get up and running.
Charles, where can they find you? And yeah, your time to shine.
Culturedeco.com. If you look for exotic home decor from Indonesia, or if you need a made-to-order furniture or decorations. I just want to also give my appreciation to Sleek, Xero, and A2X. I'm not getting anything from it, but really, these guys have been helping me build my business and help me focus on what really matters. So yeah, a big thank you.
You're welcome. It's great working with you too, Charles.
I'm going to head to your decor store straight after this, Charles, and have a look. So cool.
Fantastic. Well, that's all the time that we have. I hope that you guys have enjoyed something, from this webinar, and that was useful to you. And we do have another webinar with EasyShip that you mentioned, Charles, on the 22nd this month. So keep an eye out for that, and we'll see you again soon.
Cool.
Take care, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Bye.